Are you ready to go on another journey with me with Encyclopedia Brown? Yeah, good. This one is called The Case of the Hungry Hitchhiker. Encyclopedia had a good time in Texas, but for many days after his return to Idaville, he did not ride his bike. It felt too much like a horse. In the mornings, he used his brains to solve cases in the Brown garage. Afternoons, he used his feet. Usually he walked down to Mill Creek and fished with some of the gang, Billy and Jody Turner, Pinky Plummer, Herb Stein, Charlie Stewart, and Sally Kimball. On very hot evenings, Chief Brown drove by Mill Creek and gave Encyclopedia a lift home. "Boy, this feels great," said Encyclopedia one evening as he climbed into the air-conditioned patrol car. "It must be 90 degrees out." 93, said his father. Just then the police radio blared. Sergeant Murphy's voice spoke from headquarters. He announced the news of a holdup. The First Federal Savings and Loan Association had been held up 10 minutes ago. The 4 masked bandits had escaped in a blue sedan. The car was last seen racing north on National Highway. Sergeant Murphy signed off. Immediately, Encyclopedia's father picked up the two-way speaker. "This is Chief Brown," he said. "I'm at the corner of Mill and Commerce Streets. I'll go directly to National Highway. Send cars 4 and 5 out by the Midland Road. Also, telephone the police in Allentown, Morrinsville, and Devon Hills. Have them be on the lookout for the getaway car." Chief Brown put back the speaker. He swung the car about and speeded up. Encyclopedia could feel his heart beating faster. He had never been on a real cops and robbers chase before. "We can't overtake them," said his father. "They have too big a head start. I'm hoping that somebody saw what road they took." Chief Brown steered onto National Highway. He drove north the direction the hold-up men were reported to have taken. Ahead, Encyclopedia made out a hitchhiker standing at the crossroads of the highway and Coconut Drive. He was a young man with a knapsack over one shoulder. "If the getaway car passed this way, that hitchhiker must have seen it," said Encyclopedia. "He may have," replied Chief Brown. "It would depend on how long he had been standing there." Chief Brown braked to a stop beside the hitchhiker. "How long have you been standing there?" he asked. "About an hour," answered the hitchhiker. "Did a blue car with 4 or 5 men in it speed past you?" "It sure did," said the hitchhiker. "It came from the same way you did and turned here." "Gosh, it nearly ran me down." "Those fellows were in a mighty big hurry." "You'd better climb in," said Chief Brown. The hitchhiker stared at Chief Brown's uniform. "Gosh," he said, "is it against the law to hitchhike? Are you taking me to jail?" "Climb in," said Chief Brown. "Don't worry, I want you as a witness. If we catch up with the blue car, could you tell whether the driver was the same one who nearly ran you down?" "Yeah, I'd know his face," said the hitchhiker, getting into the back seat. As Chief Brown sped the engine, he talked over the two-way radio again. "Murphy, I'm heading east on Coconut Drive," he said. "Have the Allentown police stop all cars. We might catch the holdup men before they leave the state." In the back seat, the hitchhiker had opened his knapsack. "Care for an orange?" he asked Encyclopedia. "Or a piece of chocolate?" "Can I have a piece of chocolate, Dad?" asked Encyclopedia. "You'll ruin your dinner, but this is not exactly the time to talk about it," said Chief Brown. "Go ahead." Encyclopedia took the chocolate bar from the hitchhiker. He broke off 2 squares and handed back the rest. The hitchhiker put the candy into his knapsack. He pulled out an orange and began to peel it. He put the peels neatly into a paper bag. Encyclopedia moved the chocolate under his tongue. He hardly tasted it because suddenly he was scared. He dug into his pocket and came up with the stub of a pencil. There was nothing to write on, however. "Dad, could I have another piece of chocolate?" he asked. His father nodded. The hitchhiker gave a friendly laugh and passed over the candy bar. Encyclopedia popped the chocolate into his mouth. slowly and carefully, so the hitchhiker couldn't see. He spread the wrapper on his leg. He wrote, "Hitchhiker is member of hold-up gang." Then he worked the paper over the front seat till it was on his father's lap. His father glanced down and then returned his gaze to the road. A few minutes later, they reached Allentown. Chief Brown opened the door as though he merely wanted to stretch his legs. All at once, he was around by the back door. He had his pistol out and he pointed the muzzle at the hitchhiker. "We missed your partners, but we've got you," he said grimly, "and you'll tell us all we need to know about the holdup." How did Encyclopedia know the hitchhiker was a member of the holdup gang? This is funny because I did think, oh, he must be a part of the gang. But, how did Encyclopedia know? Well, let's turn to page 91 and find out. Maybe you already know the answer. If you do, great job. The solution to the hungry hitchhiker. The hitchhiker made his mistake by trying to be friendly. He never should have given the boy detective the chocolate bar. Encyclopedia had to break off 2 squares. This meant that the chocolate was hard, but the hitchhiker had said he was waiting at the crossroads for about an hour, on a hot day when the temperature had reached 93 degrees. Had the hitchhiker been telling the truth, the chocolate bar would have melted in the heat. Instead of being hard, it would have been like soup. The hitchhiker could only have had one reason for lying. He had to be a member of the holdup gang who was left behind to direct pursuit away from the road that the getaway car had already taken. The fake hitchhiker confessed that he kept the knapsack in the air-conditioned getaway car till it was time for him to act out his part, and the entire gang was quickly rounded up. If you would like to read some of these mysteries, Encyclopedia Brown has a whole series. And as I've mentioned before, it is one of my favorite books that I read when I was a kid. If you have any books that you would like me to read, or if you would like me to review them, make sure and put that down in the comments.